The traumatic treatment being a gay young boy made me create an alter ego to mask my pain. Someone who was confident, important, and heard. All the things I wanted as a kid. I felt like I was pretending to be someone else, but really, I was slowly just walking into being myself. I channeled all of the pain I felt into becoming the best person I could be. Never wishing to inflict such pain onto others, but the real me was hurting. The child in me was hurting. I was noticed. I was important. I felt love when I wore this mask, but it was only when I wore this mask. Being in the closet only made the need for a mask more evident. Where am I now? Mari is my alter ego, but who is Marcel? Let's talk about it.
When people come up to me and ask me, am I bisexual? Hello, yeah.
Watch yourself, bro!
In the middle of my video.
Huh?
What's up, you guys? It is Mark back with another video, and like I always say, don't be scared to fall because you may fall into a better situation. I like to feel like I'm a part of that better situation. You're already here, so you might as well subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. First and foremost, welcome back to my subbies and welcome to the newbies. I know it's been a minute since I've posted, but today I want to talk about something that I feel like I've always dealt with. I think that it's very common for gay people to fall into a cycle of an identity crisis, forcing ourselves to be in a closet that we never fit in. Throughout all of those years, just coming out and rediscovering who we are or who we are meant to be.
Okay, Kid Mizo coming down the stairs.
Don't be hollering in my video like this. That's ghetto.
What?
Hollering in my video like this, talking about some kid me so. Don't nobody call nobody this no damn mo. What the hell? You need to start over.
This is who I am. I'm goofy. I love children. I'm vulnerable. All the things that I convinced myself that I shouldn't be. I always had that feeling like I had to be somebody else. A lot of that stems from my childhood and just not being accepted by family members, by parents, by all of the important people in my life. Like, I felt like I just wasn't accepted for who I was. I was accepted for somebody that I wasn't. So I leaned into not being that person and not really realizing that I was stripping myself or forcing myself to be someone that I wasn't. And I also didn't realize the severe consequences that it would have on me later on in life. At some point, an identity crisis can look like so many different things and it can have a different story for everybody. I think my story is very unique to me, and that's basically what I'm going to talk about here today. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you so much, you guys. We were like literally 200 watch hours away from being monetized from 3,000 watch hours, and they upped it to 4,000. So as a child, I went through so many traumatic things dealing with who I was as a young boy and just being a young black boy, and so much discrimination amongst my family and people that I just cared the most about and just wanted acceptance from. Instead of internalizing all of the pain that I felt, I took it in and I channeled it and I converted it into happiness. So instead of being all the things that I received, I channeled it into a way to be more empathetic and more sympathetic and be all of the things that I wanted as a child. It just made me into this overly sympathetic, overly empathetic, just young boy, and I've always been that. I think it was just so funny how even as a child I was able to channel the pain that I was feeling into myself and not project those traumas and that pain outward towards other people. It's crazy how something so small like acceptance from your parents can fester into a lifelong addiction of acceptance from everyone. But when it's all said and done, the real me, the real Marcel was hurting. The child in me was hurting. I knew that I wasn't showing up as myself. That mask was so worth it because when I put that mask on, it made me feel important. It made me feel noticed. It got me more attention. It got me respect. Because softness and vulnerability in a man is looked at as weakness. I saw that. I saw that people always point out, oh, he's gay, he's acting like this. And I changed. I changed for the betterment of my life and just the betterment of treatment, not just from family, but just in real life. I was dealing with discrimination at home, but I was also dealing with it at school and just in life in general. And I didn't want that to be my childhood experiences, so I leaned into what everybody wanted me to be as a young black boy in Mississippi. Nobody ever told me that I needed to be different. This was how I internalized how people treated me. I was the only gay boy in the family, and I was the youngest of 3 boys. There was a lot of pressure on me as a boy, but there was never pressure on me at school. It was just something in my head that felt like it was, and felt like I needed to be someone that I wasn't to be accepted, the same ways I wasn't at home. The thing about this facade and this mask that I put on was that it made me feel important. Before this, I was very shut off. I was very quiet, just thinking about everything that I went through, making sure to not let that show up in any of the relationships or let that be known to anyone outside of my home. Because that's just what you feel. You just feel like that's the right thing to do as a child. You never want to inflict any pain onto your parents, regardless of whatever they put you through. You still want their acceptance. And you go through a lot holding on to that loyalty and that trust. And it sucks because in a lot of cases, you end up hurting yourself trying to protect the people that are hurting you. When I leaned into the person that everyone expected me to be was when I finally started to see a lot of growth in my personality, a lot of growth in connections with people, a lot of growth in just every way of my life. What I'm rediscovering about this identity crisis was it showed up in different forms in my life depending on whatever it was that I needed. Throughout the point of my life when I was pretending to be betrayed, before everything, I had an imaginary friend, someone that I talked to every day, someone who helped me sort out my feelings and how I truly felt. And I never told anyone about this friend. It was my little secret. And I always talked to this imaginary friend. I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. I was very, same way I am now, reserved and out of the way. I'm a little bit more out of my bubble now. But as far as being a child, I was always by myself. I always talked to this imaginary friend. We talked about everything. But this imaginary friend was just my honest thoughts. I never thought that it would fester into me just figuring out who I was as a person, but that's exactly what happened. Having those conversations with that imaginary person were my honest thoughts, my honest feelings, and it gave me time to actually have a conversation with myself. This was normal for me, and I never told anybody about it. Nobody thought it was weird because I had already spent a lot of time alone. But at some point, the imaginary friend stopped being imaginary. I stopped believing in things like that. You just age and you just let it go. I was still at a place where I had the mask on, even with the imaginary friend. The imaginary friend was quite literally young me. Time went by. I just slowly just parted ways. I didn't need the imaginary friend anymore. And then when I reached maybe about like 6th or 7th grade was when I started to battle homosexuality again. That is when I started to look inward and just be like, who am I? What is this feeling? At some point in my life, it just started to take front and center the older I get because it became more evident that I wasn't not going to be able to change this. I worked so hard trying to change it. But once I got to a certain point in my life of like maturity and just realizing that gayness is not something that you can get rid of, in my opinion, I'm gonna have to find peace in this. But I still have this mask on. I put the imaginary friend on the back burner, and now it's like 6th, 7th grade. This is where I'm hitting puberty. I'm talking to more girls. I'm not out at the time or whatever. I'm talking to more girls. In 8th or 9th grade was when my mother passed away. I really looked within myself and I was just like, so what do I see for myself? I'm sick of faking. I'm sick of this mask. I don't like it. I like the attention. I'm loving that I'm popular now. I have all of these friends. I'm getting invited out to things. It's a spark that I've never seen before, and it was so addictive because I've never felt like I was important at home or at school. But suddenly when I put this mask on, I'm getting a different response from everybody. I was being someone that I wasn't. And when my mother passed, that was just basically the icing on the cake, and was just like, okay, I gotta stop living this lie, and I have to figure out who I am. I had spent so much time with this mask on that I started to believe that that was who I was. I've never walked a day in my life as a gay person openly. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know who I was going to become. I didn't know if I was going to transition. I didn't know if I was going to be a woman. These were the thoughts that were going through my head when my mother passed away. I'm done with this facade. I'm gay. So 2 months after my mother passed away, I came out on September 24th. I posted a long post on Facebook. I let it all out. So this is where the identity crisis unraveling. So at this point, I am 15, 16 or whatever. I just came out, I'm gay. And at this point, I'm trade. Every time a gay person comes out, it always starts as bisexual, just to make the blow a little bit softer, be for real. I just paid attention to the gay people around me and the things that I saw on TV. I was out, and now it's time to start the journey of figuring out who I really am. I still wasn't quite comfortable with letting go of the mask. I felt like I needed to keep that mask up because I didn't want much to change. So it wasn't until my mother passed away when I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be able to change this. This is my life. I spent to think of women. And the thing is, I thought of women, but I also thought of men. And I liked men more. That's how I knew. I wanted to let go of Marcel, and I wanted to reinvent myself. I wanted to be an entirely different person. I wanted to be someone who was fab, someone who was a diva, someone who was a little bit sassy, someone who was edgy. This vision of this person has always been in my head. Whenever I would get into the mode of being Mari, is when the things that Marcel wasn't would come out. My alter ego is who I'm running towards, but I'm not quite there yet. Slowly over time, I just realized that my alter ego was merging with who I am today. Now that I'm older, I can see exactly how that imaginary friend helped me be a little bit more grounded and a little bit more structured in who I was, and making it a bit more easier for me to distinguish what's not me and what is me. Because when I came out, I instantly went back to my childhood and just went back to my roots and just was like, okay, who is me and who is not me? What did I pretend? What did I pick up on this road of pretending? What do I want to keep and what do I want to discard? The reason I knew that there was a disconnect somewhere was because I only felt that confident when I put that mask on. But for some reason, I felt like I did. And I wanted to unpack that and just understand a little bit better why I felt like that and combat it. So now at 26, I've slowly watched myself not let go of the kid in me, but make Marcel proud as I become Mari. Because Mari has always been the person that I knew that I could be. I just was holding myself back. All of the things that I wanted, all of the things that I knew that I was, but I felt like I couldn't be, I went back into that child in me and I took it back out. Marcel is the child in me, but Mari is who I was always meant to be. I was always meant to have this confidence. I was always important. I had to figure out where the disconnect was happening and connect it. And the disconnect was childhood. I had to go back and pull out all the things that I've always been and put them front and center. And that is just where I am at 26. Not having an identity crisis anymore. I think it's very clear who I am now. I talk with a lot more confidence. Yes, clothes can make you feel confident, but when clothes change the way that you talk, the way that you see the world, the way you speak up, it's something deeper going on. And that's what I wanted to reflect on, and that's when I realized that there was an identity crisis. And I wanted to bring this to YouTube because I know that there are gay men that also experience the discrimination and the hardness of being gay in earlier years. And now that this is your reality, you may find it hard sorting out what is you and what is not you. You're not alone. That's basically all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely have more content coming for you guys. It won't take long, don't worry. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Hop In. I know we're not in the car, we're in the house. It's literally raining outside right now. I'm putting this on the back burner because I've been doing other stuff. But we're back in motion and I'm happy to be back with you guys. And let's get this watch time up because this is our year. I love you, subbies, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to stay honest and stay true to yourself. And remember that we don't expect perfection over here. We just expect growth. I will see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to stay honest. Bye,
You're
guys.
not heavy.